start on fret 5 with our index. Then we will go to fret 7 with our third finger, and we will go to fret 8 with our pinky. Then we're going to go to the 5th string, and we're going to repeat the same fingering. Therefore, it is a symmetrical scale, which you heard me say many times in the last series. Basically what you have here is A, B, C, D, E, F. It's like you're on the piano playing the white key starting on A and going straight up and not hitting any black keys. Notice my fingers as I move up do not lift. Do not do this. Number one, it's not a good sound. You can hear that almost like a clicking sound as I move from note to note. The best way to remember that is just assume you're going to go back down. And then you'll remember to leave your fingers down. Now, some of you will struggle with that. You will get to here and then your pinky will barely make it up to that fret. Once again, it's all in getting your hand to open up, which is an unnatural thing to have your fingers go like this. So it takes a while to get used to it. So if you're having trouble, one other thing will help. If you're having trouble, drop your shoulder a little bit. Just drop. And watch what happens in my hand when I drop my shoulder. Well, magically, my fingers come up. If you play flat finger like that, that's not good. I mean, you see one of the notes was muffled. Number two, it doesn't look that good. And you're never going to play fast like that. You've got to be light on your fingers and just move straight ahead. Fingertips, shoulder down if you have to. Never have your elbow into your body. I see that all the time with students. Try to, like if your elbow's into your body, you're going to have tremendous problems playing. You must, and I must admit that I have trouble with students who are stuck in this position, getting them out of it. They literally, it's almost like they're frozen in this position. And I don't know, maybe you guitar teachers out there can give me a hint how to get students to really just loosen up. I mean, I just say, hey, loosen your elbow or your arm so you're able to move your arm back and forth. Okay, back to the scale. Our first 6 notes, A, B, C, D, E, F. Now, here's where we have a slight dilemma. Probably a bigger dilemma than we have with the Dorian. If you remember the Dorian, it went and shifted back. The Aeolian scale will go up to A. We're back, we've done 1 octave. Let me do the first octave again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Okay, now we've got to get to a B note. Here's our dilemma. We have a B here. We have a B here. Obviously, if we go to the B on the 4th fret, 3rd string, you're going to have to shift back a position in the 4th position. If we do the B on the 4th string, 9th fret, you're going to have to stretch up with your pinky and grab that B note. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages to both ways. I personally, it depends on the situation. It depends on where I'm going, where I'm coming from. I probably, my first few years of playing, I probably went with a drop, drop back a fret. Because in a way, you have a symmetrical fingering, which I haven't gone over the fingering yet, but if you watch, you'll see. The only difference, it's not exactly symmetrical, it's half symmetrical, because I'm doing 1, 2, 4, but I have to move up a fret and do another 1, 2, 4. That's actually not a bad fingering. Here's the dilemma. You come back here and we run into that same issue that we did with Dorian. That is, you have to remember to come back with your 3rd finger. So, and then you're in position to finish the scale. So, let's do the other way. Let me show you your other alternative. That's to go up your octave, stretch with your pinky, grab that B note. Now, I'll cut your break here. If you want to lift up a little bit, feel free. Because your next string is just 2 notes. I mean, I'd rather you didn't. I'd rather you kind of did that and left your fingers down. I think your notes will sound better. You'll get a more positive connection with your pick and the note you're fretting. Plus, once again, it's going to help you to stretch your fingers out a little further and start to develop a pretty good reach. Now, for now, if you have to lift, fine. Lift for a couple weeks and see if in 2 weeks or even a week that you've developed some ability, some pliability in your fingers where you can go ahead and move up. Okay, so Our next string now, the third string, is now only going to have 2 notes on it. That's C and D. Okay, so we've come a long way. We've gone up. I'm going to stick with the pinky. You probably would agree that that fingering looks a little smoother. Because I'm not shifting. Now let me do the shift fingering and let me go up to D again. Now as I shift back, I hear just a tiny squeak from the strings. I don't know if you can hear it or not. Just barely. I mean, I could hear it probably better than you'll be able to hear it on a recording. But that's one little issue that you have to be quick. Boom. Right there. Okay, so let's go up. Let me do the other way. Back. So it's your decision. Listen, I'll probably go back and forth. And I'll try to remember to alternate. So if you see me doing one way and it's not your way, don't worry, I'll do it the next time I play it. We've got 4 out of 6 strings covered. And we're well on our way to understanding how to play the Aeolian scale. Remember, this is just one position. I'll do... In a following series, I'll probably show you the other 4 positions in Dorian and the other 4 in Aeolian here, but briefly. I'll just go over them. You can always rewind the video and go over the positions, and then we'll have it. I just want to show you this position just to get you guys started so that you can start making music with these scales. And then by the time you're making some music, then I'll have the other videos up. Okay, now let's finish. Let's just go to the top 2 strings if you don't mind. Let me show you those fingerings. Get that over with because it won't take long, and then we can run the whole scale forward. All right, so string 2, we have E. 5th fret, 2nd string's E, so is your open 1st string. So we're going to go E, F, and G. Then on the 1st string, we're going to go A, B, C. You notice right away they're not symmetrical, are they? They're unsymmetrical, but it's not such a bad thing. Actually, when you're soloing, you have some advantages. You could do some... So that's one little advantage, is you can come up with some maybe more unique type patterns due to the fact that these 2 strings are not symmetrical. So once again, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, please keep in mind that if I move to another position, and I always try to explain things as thoroughly as I can because I've dealt with questions over the last 20 years of teaching that lead me to say these things, so that I leave no doubt. I try to do the best I can explaining everything. If I move up 2 frets, I'm now in B Aeolian. Alright, so this is no longer E, F, G, A, B, C. It's hard to say when I'm on the wrong fret even. It's now different. It's F sharp, G, A, and then you've got B, C, and D. Okay? So remember that if we're in, now on the 7th fret, the note names change. So the movable scales are confusing in that way. That's why you need to start thinking about memorizing the notes from open to 12th fret, I think. Take 1 string a day. Memorize them all. E, F, F sharp, G. And then, once again, your dilemma here, this could be F sharp or G flat. Just memorize the note. Memorize the notes of the frets that are dotted, right, with the fret markers on them. Even do that. You have, well, we'll count F, even though F doesn't have a fret marker on it, we'll say F. This will be G, A, B, C sharp. Okay, it's a little confusing. And then E again. the double dotted fret, 12th fret, you're back to E. You're an octave up from your open E string. Okay, so just keep that in mind, that I'm going to call out the notes as we do our run through these tutorials on scales and soloing, but if you move to a different fret, you can't call them the same notes. Okay, I think we're ready to run the scale, just briefly. E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, so we will run the scale. Just have that progression in mind. And mind you, that's not the only progression used for Aeolian, thank God, or it would be really boring. Aeolian, as I mentioned earlier, is more of a scale used in classical music, jazz. In jazz, it would be used, I don't want to say sparingly, because it's tonal. Remember, jazz, the whole point of jazz is to stretch the music. Aeolian will not stretch the music. However, one thing about Aeolian that I can say unequivocally, it's an extremely melodic scale. Why? Because of the first thing I talked about, this F. I mean, that F note, without that F note, then it's really not as melodic. Then you're talking a hexatonic scale. A hexatonic is a pentatonic scale with that added note in it, in the case of A minor being B. It's a really nice, I like the hexatonic sound. I think I picked that up off of, shockingly, Eric Johnson. He uses hexatonic a lot. And it's funny, it's usually not these lower Bs, it's just the first string. It really does throw a really nice sound into your playing. Now, if I had the F, right there, that one note, you can hear it, right? That's what creates your emotion in this scale when you're soloing. Hit that F, there's a magnetic pull from that F to either E or up to G. My opinion, the pull is stronger to E to resolve than it is to go up to G. I'm not saying you don't go up to G. I'm just saying, the way I hear it, it seems like it wants to pull down. Okay, so let's go ahead and run that scale. Let's do the, let's lean to our right and use our pinky for the B and not shift back yet. Okay, here's the run. Remember your fingering, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, and I will say stretch 4. And then 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. Okay, here we go. Here's your stretch. Stay on your fingertips. I'm going to go back down to A, so that you hear a definite root. If I stop on G, not that G isn't an important chord tone in A minor, it's a beautiful chord. I love that third, A, B, C, it's a third, A, B, C, it's a minor third. Remember last time I mentioned the major third? It's the minor third. I love that on top of a chord. I just think it sounds really great. But I'm going to come back and finish on A. Okay, typically I don't. When I run this scale with students, I'll just go up and then come back. Alright, let's go up one more time. Same position, a little quicker. Okay, let's start to talk about descending. Okay, the only thing you have to remember is coming back, 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 3, 1, stretch back with that pinky. Now, as you can see right now, if your hand is not able to stretch yet, you're gonna have trouble here, aren't you? You're going to, let me show you what probably could happen. There it is. Your hand just didn't make it, right? A little exaggeration there. More than likely, it's going to either be that disaster or this one. You're going to try to reach with your third finger because you become confused because the last string you did what? 3 and 1. Your brain remembers that third finger, right? Because you haven't practiced the scale a lot. So it's going to want to play again. It's going to think you want it to play again. But you don't. You want that pinky to stretch back. So that's ideal right there. Listen, if you put work into this scale, you'll see exactly what I just showed you. Your ability to move backwards, beautiful stretch there, and then you're set to finish. Okay, so let's run it back slowly. I'm going to start up on C. Okay, up on C, so you can remember, another reason for starting there is you can remember that your fingering on the high E string, the top string, is 1, 3, 4. If I start here every time, you may forget. Okay, here we go. Back. Three, 1. Stretch. Third finger. And you're safe to finish. And there you go. There's your Aeolian. Well, let's run it one last time. Back. 4, 2, 1. 3, 1. Pinky back. Now, right there, be careful. Because if you are still thinking that third finger, because you've used your third finger a lot, you may forget about this note, which is F again. So coming from here, make sure, and this happens a lot with students, okay, they're really playing pentatonic. They forgot about this F. And you finish. The reason I bring that up is because remember Dorian does not play this note. Dorian has F sharp, which we were doing mainly here. Or you've got to be very careful.